Hey everybody, Ben here for the Bonehead podcast, and welcome to Special Teams Sunday. So every Sunday we get together and we have a look at some of the best unofficial teams in Blood Bowl. Blood Bowl is by far one of the best games ever made. And there's more to it than just the rules, okay? Every month we have a look at what's legal and what's lethal, what's going on, what's doing well. There's 29 teams in Blood Bowl, there's a whole bunch of star players. But there are teams out there that are homebrewed, that have been community brewed, that are just ready to play with and to give you a very different and very cool gaming and hobbying experience. I wholeheartedly recommend you building your own teams, brewing them up, coming up with some cool stuff. But what we're doing is we're having a look at some of the best teams out there that are already ready for you to play with. And FUMBBL is a great online resource. Now, it's still running the 2016 rule set, so there's going to be no passing stat here, but you can log on to the FUMBBL Secret League and play these teams right now, which is awesome. And we've used some of these teams on our tabletop tournaments in the past as well, and as soon as they get fully transferred over to Blood Bowl 2020, they've got some example rules for them now, but they haven't been play tested yet. We haven't had an opportunity to run them out, so we don't know quite how balanced they are. But these rule sets here have been played hundreds and hundreds of times, and you know what? They are very unique and very different. And with Scylla being spoiled in the last week, we thought it was appropriate that we took a look at the Khorne team. So let's have a look at the roster. So the Khorne team is a really interesting one. There's already a Khorne team out there, but it is a Demons of Khorne. Now, this roster is basically halfway house between the Demons of Khorne roster and the Chaos Chosen roster, which makes it a really cool challenge. So the Khorne team that's out there already is very unlike the Nurgle team, okay? So there's Chaos Chosen and there's a Nurgle team that has a very similar fit to the Chaos Chosen team, just with a Nurgle theme. This Khorne team is if they took Chaos Chosen and made it a Khorne team. So we've got 0 to 16 Chaos Thugs. These are linemen. They have Frenzy. Now, Khorne is the god of war and skulls and blood. So the majority of this roster is going to be around skulls, blood and frenzy, which is what makes it a really cool build. So you've got those guys as the linemen. You've got 0 to 4 Khorngors, who are beastmen, okay? So as you can see already, this is very similar to the Nurgle roster. We've got the linemen, which is kind of god-specific. You've got the Rotters in Nurgle. You've got the Chaos Thugs here. You've got the Pestigors in Nurgle. You've got the Khorngors here, okay? They are Juggernaut and Horns. No frenzy on those guys, so they're kind of like the Bloodletters from the Khorne team proper. Then you've got the Khorne Warriors, and this for me is just absolutely awesome. These guys have got one less agility than the standard Chaos Warrior, but they come with Frenzy. So this roster has Frenzy linemen and Strength 4, Armor 9 Frenzy pieces. Okay, this roster is built to murder, and it's topped off by 0 to 1 Blood Beast. Now, as this team was being developed, that Blood Beast originally started as a Minotaur, and then they brought Scylla into the game, like last edition ago, and basically had a bit of a variation. It's more akin to a Yeti than it is to a Minotaur, but everybody on this roster gets access to mutations, so everybody is eligible to get that claw mighty blow angle, to get those horns for the proper blitzes. It's a really interesting team. It is a very violent team, and it's very chaotic, and that is why they've got 70k rerolls. Now, the downside of this team is that there's a ton of frenzy, and those positionals that are all individually very good are so expensive. And your lineman being 60k actually prices you out of being able to afford everything you want to start with. So you're looking at this and you're like, that is a ton of strength and a ton of frenzy, but they can't afford it all at once. But when this team reaches 1250, 1500, this is literally just skulls for the Skull Throne. And we'll start off by having a look at the Chaos Thugs. So this is the lineman positional of this team. 60k, movement 6, strength 3, edge 3, armor 8. And they come with Frenzy. Now, this basically is the lineman from the Demons of Khorne team. Khorne? Demons of Khorne team from Blood Bowl 1 is just so fun. If you've never played it, just go buy Blood Bowl 1. It's about £1 now, and will run on everything a little bit more modern than a Nokia 3210. So it's a great game and you will have a ton of fun with Khorne. It is frenzy. It is just disaster. It is like running a goblin team that can actually hurt things. If you roll well, your opponent will not have a team. If you roll badly, neither with you. And it's actually really fun. So these thugs form the core of the Khorne team. As a sentence. They're great. That Edge 3 is going to do loads of stuff that you need them to do. They are decent linemen in a pinch. They will get led into frenzy traps, but you know what? That's part of life. That's part of frenzy. Now, general mutation means that these guys can develop in any way you want. Because of the Khorngors on the roster, these guys are not going to be your primary ball carrier, nor should they be because they've got frenzy. But where they've got general and mutation, it means they are prime candidates for block to start with, okay, because then you are blocking more efficiently, and actually then you can start playing with mutations, so you can start custom building them. You can just spam block claw with this team. Block claw frenzy is fantastic. Now this is the world of old school doubles. If you get doubles, then guard everywhere on this roster is what you need, but the thugs straight to block and you're just having a great time. And then there's the Khorngors. So these are the Beastmen versions. This is the Khorne version of the Pestigor, basically. So 0 to 4 of them, and they are movement 6, strength 3, edge 3, and armor 8. Basically the same stats as your standard lineman, but they start with horns and juggernaut. No frenzy here. So these guys are the core of the team. These guys do all the stuff that the other players cannot be trusted to do. That makes these guys absolute stars. You want a ball carrier? It's going to be this guy, because he's going to be strength 3 blitzing out of... Sorry, he's going to be strength 4 blitzing out of a problem. And he's edge 3, he's movement 6, he's got a ton of stuff, and that jugs gives him a pseudo combat skill. So when you do need to break out and you're based, this is going to be 2 dice, and I'm going to take that both down and push you away, and then I'm free to run around and score. So these guys are your runners, okay? They're the ones you want to give sure hands to eventually if you need it, okay? Because of the way rerolls are pitched in this team, as in they're very expensive, and so are your positionals, then the Khorngors, one of them taking sure hands is probably a good idea. Now, the difficult thing is that these guys are also your prime candidate to be guard support pieces. So the bloodletters in the Khorne team, getting guard on them means that you can assist the other players. You can assist the heralds, you can assist the bloodthirster, you can assist your linemen to give them the all-important 4-die frenzy block. So you're going to be faced with some very tough decisions with your Khorngors. You want them to be block blitzers, one with sure hands to be a ball carrier, to be your primary ball carrier, and that's what you want them to do. But also you're going to get that option to take guard to make the rest of your team better. It's going to be a tough decision, and when it comes to it, I think you will always be better off having 2 Khorngors with block. I think it's just going to be better. Then they can play the role of the runner really well. The lack of access to agility on anything but a double means that this is the best you've got. This is the fastest player you've got. And the fact that they can horns jugs themselves free with 2 dice is really useful. Block is great on these guys. Sure hands on 1. There's kind of 2 ways. You can chuck block on everybody and have a fine time. Or you can go sure hands ball carrier with 1, sure hands block, and then the other one go with guard, and then use those guys to make the rest of your team more effective at killing things. It's gonna be, your mileage may vary, it depends on your league, but man, the fact they get access to everything here, general, strength and mutation, means they're so flexible. You've only got 4, build them wisely. And you also get 4 of these guys. Now this is why I love this team. Strength 3 muggles with frenzy is a load of fun, okay? It's great. I love the idea of it. I love it in Khorne. I love it with the view of potentially one day maybe getting a Savage Orc team. But man, you can start with Chaos Warriors with frenzy. They're not even Chaos Warriors. They're 5, 4, 2, 9, okay? The movement 5, strength 4, edge 2, armor 9. They're Black Orcs of old, okay? They're the Black Orcs of old. No, they're not. They're faster. It's very confusing. They've got the speed of a Chaos Warrior. There's a high bar there. But they've lost their agility. And that agility is replaced with frenzy for the same cost of 100k. 4 of these guys with frenzy are going to be able to mostly solo 4-die frenzy block most players. You need to move your human lineman guys to position to cancel out basically a couple of supports, and this team will start shredding. And this is going to be the really cool thing. If you're going vanilla, then obviously block is the right thing to do. If you've got a dwarf heavy league, something like that, where they're going to get guard, actually you can start considering whether or not you want to go straight to Claw. Now, this is 2016, so Claw and Mighty Blow stack really well. Dude, 4 strength 4 frenzy block mighty blow claw pieces is just gonna tin open everything, and you're gonna have so much fun doing it. This is the reason I love this team. It's not optimal. It's not optimal at all, but it is fun and it's different, and they've got the strength. You put 4 of these guys on the line, you move some human life, you move your Chaos Thugs in to take away their assists. Your opening series is going to be to take 3 people off that pitch. And then you're playing a game of 7s against your entire team. Khorne likes that. I like that. You should like that too. Khorne also likes Blood Beasts. So a Blood Beast, I guess, is basically the same thing as Scylla, which is cool as it's just landed, which is definitely why I inspired this video. The Khorne Blood Beast is 140k, movement 5, strength 5, ag 2, armor 9, armor 8, loner, frenzy, claw, thick skull, and wild animal. So basically we've dropped disturbing presence and we've got thick skull, otherwise it's a yeti. So you've got 4 strength 4 frenzy chaos warriors and a yeti. This team is horrific. There's just going to be dice everywhere, and whether they are your opponent's players' skulls or the skulls on your own dice leading to your own death, it doesn't matter. Khorne cares not for where the blood flows. So 140k is pretty pricey when you've got this heavy team. If you've played Chaos Chosen before, you'll know that actually it's really difficult to get a Minotaur or an Ogre on that roster with your full lineup of warriors. It's even more difficult in this team because you've got those 80k dudes who don't have frenzy, and they're really important too. But if this is your first purchase and you end up with 4 warriors and a blood beast, it is just going to be amazing. Now, strength of mutation, this guy starts with claw, so straight to mighty blow would be wonderful. You've got wild animal, so you're kind of leaning on blitzing with him, but because your ball carrier is likely to have to blitz his way out of trouble using horns, this guy just gets in the mix of it. So being able to, if you roll just a regular, you know what, guard, probably not going to want to take it. You're going to want to take mighty blow, and then ag 2 means he's dodging out on a 4+. Taking break tackle means you get a dodge away, but again, it's only if you're going to be blitzing. Honestly, the Khorne Blood Beast just wants to get mighty blow and then just wants to start killing. Maybe you get lucky and roll a random double and get that block or something, but you don't need it. This guy deploys and is good to go right from the start, which is actually a really cool feature. Now, in the new edition, this dude is going to be prime for Brawler, because you're just going to be chucking 2, 3, 6 die blocks on the line of scrimmage and just murdering things. But 2016 edition, Claw and Mighty Blow is just too tasty to give up. Now, the lack of horns means this isn't a primary blitzing person, which actually frees it up. So the Khorne Bloodthirster, you got to blitz with him. He's wild animal, he's horns, he's got jugs. Everything he does is about blitzing the face off your opponent. The Blood Beast, I'm actually just happy to stand on the line and fight things. And you know what? He's very good at it. But man, this is a pricey team. Okay, so we've got one starting roster for you. There's a few different things you can do, but I think this is probably the most fun to do it. It is subpar. They are all subpar though, so this is my personal taste of subpar. I think this comes in at 990, maybe exactly 1,000. I can't remember. We should probably check that. Okay, this one comes in exactly at 1,000, so ignore that 990 bit. You want 5 Chaos Thugs, 2 Khorngors, 4 Chaos Warriors, and 2 rerolls. It is really difficult to get 3 rerolls in here. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be leaning on the strength 4-ness of those Chaos Warriors to be taking 2 die frenzy blocks. We're going to be using the Chaos Thugs to support them in doing so, and those Khorngors and those 2 rerolls are going to be doing all the heavy lifting when it comes to the ball. But our game plan here is to use those Thugs in concert with all 4 of those Khorne Warriors to just remove the opposing team. When it comes to defense, you put Thugs on the line, you have Khorne Warriors in reserve, okay? They're your linebackers. Your opponent is going to have to come through them at some point, and at some point that means you're going to be able to tag their cage with multiple dice, multiple frenzy block situations. That is horrific, okay? There is going to be no team that feels like that's a good thing for them, except Snotlings. Snotlings are a fantastic counter to frenzy. But anyway, I recommend this roster to start with. There's a couple of other things you can do, which is like drop both those Khorne Warriors and run 4 Khorngors, 2 Khorne Warriors, but then you're missing the punch of the team, and the punch of the team is having those Khorne Warriors. You can save up cash, you'll eventually get to that extra reroll. Maybe you roll a double on a Thug or a Khorngor or someone to take a leader just to tide you over. But all you're saving up for here is that extra reroll, and then every time you get the cash, you can pick up an extra Khorngor, and you are eventually going to get there. The thing is with this, you're running 11 players, so a thug is going to die from time to time, but actually a vanilla thug journeyman to just chuck on the line to reduce assist or just to get punched to save the rest of your team, not a problem at all. Like I said, Khorne cares not from where the blood flows. So whether it's your guys dying or their guys dying, doesn't even matter. I would like to see a special rule for this team along the lines of if somebody dies, something happens. Probably like you get a fan factor. That's it. That would just be such a sweet rule for Khorne. Okay, if somebody dies, as in dies, you roll a dice on a 4+, Khorne sees it, gives you 1 extra fan factor, or your opponent 1 extra fan factor. It would just be a really cool element to it. I can kind of see Games Workshop leaning that way. Anyway, that is the Khorne roster. Let's have a look at some miniatures if you want to take this to the pitch. So when it comes to running this team, you will need 1 box of Chaos Chosen, because you will need those Beastmen and you will need those Chaos Warriors. Now, it's not too difficult to get some different heads for those Chaos Blockers. My entire team has got them. You can get them on a bit site. You can use some of these heads and that will look fine too. Basically, you want more horns, and if there's a potential of getting some gold medallions of the Khorne logo, go to town, okay? Think Mr. T, but in a murderous rampage, right? That's kind of Khorne's vibe. You need some Chaos Thugs, and the best way to do that is to pick up some Blood Letters. No, Blood Reavers, that's what these guys are called. And they are basically just Khorne Chaos Marauders. You grab these, you snip some weapons, maybe you do a cool little thing and replace a hand with a ball hand or something, and you're there. Alright, we've just seen the roster. You're going to need 5 or 6 of these guys. That's it. These came out in the Age of Sigmar starter set 3, 4, 5 years ago, so you can pick them up really, really cheap. There is a ton of Norse teams, vampire teams where these guys form the Linemen. There are a ton of cool Chaos Renegade teams where these guys form the Linemen. They're great for Blood Bowl. They're cheap to pick up. And if you've already got a Chaos team, paint it red, chuck some extra horns on, you are good to go. The only other thing you'll have to find is a Blood Beast. And really, that's going to be down to you to season, to taste, basically. If you've got a Minotaur, use a Minotaur. Maybe cut the horns off if you want them to be extra gnarly. Maybe get one of those Khorne dog things, you know, a bloodhound gang dude, you know, or an ogre, but chuck a load of Khorne iconography. It doesn't matter, as long as you've got something that looks very angry and about size 5, strength 5, sorry, you are good to go. But eventually you're going to need him at some point, but until then, your Chaos Warriors are the reason you run this team. And this is fun too. When your linemen are fun, the rest of the team, it doesn't matter. This is why I think I like Slan, is because the linemen are fun. They pogo stick around the place. The rest of the team is just extra cherries on top. If your cake is good, the icing's fine. Doesn't matter what it is. So I like this. This with a Chaos box set, you're good to go for the team. And this is on my list. This is on my future list. But I have a sneaky suspicion Games Workshop is going to go this angle. I've just got this hope that Games Workshop is going to go produce a Nurgle style team for Khorne, and I think it's going to be very similar to this roster, and I am very excited about it. Anyway guys, thank you ever so much for watching. Do let me know what you think of the Khorne team in the comments below, and if there's another FUMBBL Secret League team or another homebrew team you think we should take a look at, then let us know, because this is our time to just play with more Blood Bowl stuff, because more Blood Bowl is more better. Anyway, I'm going to disappear. Thank you ever so much for watching. We'll be back soon with more Blood Bowl content. Happy frenzying. Thanks very much for watching. We really appreciate your support. If you want to support the show even further, please like and subscribe. It really helps us out. Or come and join us in our Patreon, link below, where you get early access to our content and monthly competitions. See you later.